though, where Jeffrey Epstein is corresponding with Michael Wolff. And obviously, Pam, we covered the White House together in Trump's first term. Michael Wolff wrote a book on the inner workings of Trump's West Wing at the time. And Jeffrey Epstein emails Michael Wolff, seeming to reference when Trump was saying he had kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. And Epstein writes, Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Now, that seems to trigger what we had heard from Trump earlier this summer when he was saying that Ghislaine Maxwell was poaching and Jeffrey Epstein were poaching women from his spa at Mar-a-Lago. That is where Virginia Giuffre worked, of course, and that the White House has said Trump has kicked him out of the club for being a creep, basically.
So what is the White House saying in reaction to this?
They haven't issued a comment on the record or anything like that. Obviously, we reached out to them to let them know because this has been something that they have been fielding for months now. I mean, there has been a real pressure cooker here in Washington. This is likely to only inflame that over the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files and releasing that. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche went and interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell for 2 days before she moved to her new prison, which one has much less security in Texas, as y'all have been covering. And so in that, Ghislaine Maxwell denied in that interview ever recruiting people from Mar-a-Lago. But this has been a point of question about how not just Trump and whether or not he has any involvement, which he's denied, but also how the White House has handled this. Because Republicans, even some of his most loyal advocates, say that these files, these documents that the federal government has, should be released. Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, as you know, Caitlin, these emails were released by Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee. What more do we know about their work to release even more Epstein documents? There's still plenty of them out there.
Yeah, and that's what the House Speaker Mike Johnson has pointed to, saying they don't need that discharge petition to force the DOJ to release it because they're doing their own investigation. Obviously, these are coming out from Democrats on that committee. But can I mention a third email that actually references CNN? It's from Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein. This comes at the height of the 2016 campaign. So CNN's about to host a Republican primary debate, and Michael Wolff emails Jeffrey Epstein a heads up. And he says that he hears CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in a scrum afterwards. And Jeffrey Epstein, according to this email, said, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Michael Wolff responds, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the phone or been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. And Michael Wolff tells Jeffrey Epstein, you can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Now, I want to be clear. We looked at the transcript. CNN did not ask Trump about Jeffrey Epstein that night, so it's not clear where that's coming from. But I talked to Michael Wolff, and he said he didn't really remember the context of these emails, but it was when he was having in-depth conversations with Epstein about his relationship with Trump at the time. And so it just goes to show the times that Jeffrey Epstein was clearly emailing, talking to his closest confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell, about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Caitlin Collins, excellent reporting, as I said. We'll see you later tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, on your program, The Source. We'll be watching.
And at the White House. Busy day for you, Caitlin. Thank you.
She's a hardworking young girl.
All right, so joining us now to discuss more is Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. He sits on the House Oversight Committee. Thanks for coming on. So before we get into this, I want to reiterate once more that President Trump did not receive or send any of these messages, as Caitlin laid out, which largely predated his time as president, and he has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. But I'm wondering, as we just reviewed these emails, how are you reading them?
I think they're deeply disturbing, especially the one where basically Epstein says he knew about the girls, that if he were to deny that he was in Jeffrey Epstein's house or had been on his plane, that would somehow be a lie. Also, Ghislaine Maxwell weighs in on some of this, chiming in, agreeing with Jeffrey Epstein. And so all this basically raises the question, like, why are the bulk of the Epstein files not being produced? Now, you should know that the Epstein estate has more of these files, and we will continue to receive them in tranches from the Epstein estate. So one way or the other, we're going to get our hands on those files. So in light of that, I think the administration should produce the Epstein files right away.
Congressman, I want to dive into that email from 2011. I think it's significant. That's where Epstein emails his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, and says, and I'm quoting now, I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. redacted victim, then spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. And Maxwell responds, and I'm quoting now, I have been thinking about that, end quote. An unredacted version of the email shared by an administration official identified the redacted person as Virginia Giuffre, who we know is one of Epstein's most prominent survivors, who died by suicide back in April. Question. This seems to suggest that Trump was more aware of the abuse than he let on. What is your reaction to this specific correspondence that has just been released?
Yeah, that was my reaction as well. And also the next thing that came to my mind is, of course, we know that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor spent a lot of time with Giuffre. And so that's another reason why Windsor should come before Congress and testify. I said voluntarily, but one way or the other, we should either subpoena him or serve process and get him to come here and testify, because he would also probably know about Giuffre and whether perhaps there were links to Trump as well.
As you well know, Congressman, President Trump has talked about the fact that he ended his relationship with Epstein. He kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago and so forth. These emails go back to 2011 and beyond, through when he was running for president. What do you make of the timing?
Well, interestingly, I thought the 2011 emails are very, I don't know, they kind of give a glimpse of what Epstein thought about Trump before he knew that Trump was either going to run for the presidency or would be president. So even at that time, he felt that Trump had some connection to his girls, so to speak, as he describes them, and spent time with at least one person in his house for hours, as he said. And so I think that there's a lot of veracity to that particular email, in my opinion. So in light of all this, again, it just raises the notion that we should get these Epstein files. We should get this produced by the administration. I don't know why they're holding it back, but this set of documents just should persuade them that one way or the other, we are going to see these files, we're going to see these emails and correspondence, but for the sake of justice for the survivors, they should be able to have access to those files too. And then, of course, to prevent this from ever happening again, we need to know how this cover-up happened and how rich and powerful interests have managed to escape justice for more than 20 years at this point.
Earlier this year, Congressman, as you know, Maxwell told the U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche that she, quote, never witnessed the president in any appropriate setting in any way, and that she didn't recall ever seeing Trump at Epstein's house. We learned this week through Representative Jamie Raskin that a whistleblower is alleging Maxwell is receiving special treatment in prison, including meals tailored to her and access to computers with guests. How does that fit into everything else that's happening in the Epstein space right now?
Well, look, she's going to say and do anything to basically get a commutation or kind of relief from her sentence. She's a liar, she's a convicted perjurer, and she's a sex trafficker. All that being said, this email, going back to that 2011 email, raises the question of whether she actually knows more than what she let on, even in that interview that Todd Blanche had done. And I think there's going to be a lot more correspondence in the Epstein files that would be helpful in cross-examining her going forward. I hope that she comes before our committee so that we can do that as well.
The Oversight Committee, and you're a member of that Oversight Committee, says these emails are some of the thousands of pages of documents received by your committee. Can you shed any more light into what else is within that trove of information, and should we expect more of these documents to be released anytime soon?
Possibly. I think our staff, Robert Garcia and his staff, have done an excellent job of kind of doing an initial kind of review, but they're going through with a fine-tooth comb right now. And the idea is release as much of this as possible, because there is a big appetite for understanding what's in the general Epstein files. I think that more people are going to come forward because of what's happened with the Epstein estate, and I think that we're going to learn more and share more in the days to come.
All right. Well, we will be looking for that.
Will.
Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And still ahead, members of the House are back in Washington.